Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to NFR. It's Thursday night, and that means it's time for DRS. Of course, tonight is the season opener for season 11. This is round one in Bahrain, track we've all come accustomed to opening the season. Of course, we might not have too much action early on. This is going to be a full quali session, so Q1, Q2, Q3. We're supposed to lose 5 drivers in Q1 and 2, but as you can see we have just the 16 in the field, so just the one driver is going to be on the wrong side of that at the end of 18 minutes. Everybody else should go through, just need a decent representative time. Then of course going through to Q2 we will lose 5 drivers in that session, so far more important session. We may just see some of the drivers trying to get through this session on a single run. They don't have to use those extra tyres. If things go wrong in Q2 they can go out and have another go. Remember, only so many tyres, you've got to make them last throughout the sessions. Don't want to find yourself in Q3 where you're only going to be able to have one run. Welcome to Skull, Death Queen, Panda, all in the comment section early on. Had a fantastic stream last night. Racing was a little messy. The comment section was a busy one. Have a few cars out on circuit, just the 4 cars at the moment out on circuit, everyone else remaining in the pits. Of course, as a driver, I really enjoy the full qualifying session. It just gives you that little bit more of a build-up into the race. Like in this session, you'll just want to make sure you're in that top 15, set a decent lap time, and you shouldn't have too much to worry about. But then in Q2 you're going to have to step it up a notch, and if you are able to get to Q3, well, then you have to bring it all out. Just builds you up going into that race. So this is Will, just showing he was in the pits when he clearly wasn't. Kev also on an out lap. Let's see if there's anyone on a quick lap. Looks like Dan Ritfeld has just started his quick lap. Going to be the only Alpine here this evening, one of the drivers missing a teammate. Also just the one RB, just the one Red Bull. Just the one Aston Martin. We do have a pair of Ferraris, Williams, Saubers, Mercedes and a Haas. This is Will. Boinky's first man over the line. Will's going to go over the line any moment now. Boinky set a 29.6. Let's see where Will comes in. 51.5. Remember, this is just the first session, guys. I'm going to be giving it the absolute all just yet. This is one of the 2 Haas cars. The other one sitting in the pits. That is Stoffel. Panda out on his first quick lap. We'll go over the line shortly. Let's just bring up some stats on your screen so you can see what's going on. Panda goes up into P2. Good start to the evening, 29.6. Everyone, of course, using the soft. I've seen the drivers just using different compounds in Q3 when it's Q1 rather, when it's pretty clear they're going through. They'll just set the lap on mediums, keep that extra set of tires. Keep on mentioning it in my streams, and I apologize if I'm a bit repetitive, but please, I hope in the next patch they sort that out. Every time we have a caution or a safety car, it flashes. It's really distracting. Rotor on an out lap, as is Sigrid. Is that Sigrid? Sigrid? I don't know. Let's call him Secret, because how you pronounce that is a secret. Levy also on an out lap. Wezo on an out lap. Nick Bishop's just started his first flyer. Let's catch up with that Williams. Where is he? So one of the quicker drivers in the field. So expect to see him right up there. Top 3 at the moment. Boinky's, Panda and Shane. Those times pretty close together. Boinky's 29.6. Panda 29.6. Shane 29.6. So absolutely nothing in between the top 3. Then Dan Ritfeld also not far behind, 29.8, and he's followed by 29.8 from Top Gun. So time so far extremely close at the front. Still waiting for a lot of the drivers to get around, to set their initial runs. Of course, if you don't get a lap time in, you will be eliminated, you won't go through. Everybody needs to set a lap, as there are 16 runners, so we will be losing one driver. It's not going to be much fun for the one driver having to just sit in spectator mode watching. While everybody else is getting amped up for the race, lap after lap, you're sitting there watching, and it's, I don't know, you don't get the same build-up. It's almost like heading off into turn one on icy tires. Boinkies was your pole sitter, provisional pole sitter. Panda has just taken that over from him, becomes the first driver into the 28s, and it's quite the jump. It's a 28.8, and that means everybody else is going to have to find that little bit more. Wezo goes up into P2, and oh my, did we see that right? Was that a glitch, or was that a Sauber driving head on into another car? We didn't see what the other car was, we didn't get a good view of it. It just caught me by surprise. And Wezo retires. That is a very broken Sauber. So since he has retired, that means everybody else in the session is safe and will be going through. All you need to do is set a lap time. You don't even need to worry about it being a quick one. Panda out front, then Levy P2, Boinkies P3, Shane P4, Nikishin P5. Lots of familiar names there at the top of the field, because those were your championship contenders in the last season, and probably the season before that. Same names dominating at the front. Stoffel wanting to get amongst those names, yet to set a lap time. He's going around the final corner now. Let's see a lap time for Stoffel. Let's see what he can put together. Goes up into P8. And the two Haas drivers both up in the top 10. Panda, the other Haas driver, on provisional pole. We're just waiting for lap times from two drivers. J-Boy yet to set a lap time, 0 to 2. Yet to set a lap time. Both of those cars are on out laps. So looking to get times up in the near future. Panda has retired from the session. I don't think we've ever seen that sort of confidence. Not even from Max Verstappen. Imagine that. In Q1, go out, do one run, simply climb out of the car and relax for Q2. This is Shane in his updated livery Ferrari. You can see all the HP logos. HP logos that really stand out. Not really going with the rest of the Scarlet car. Shane goes up into P3. Looks like we have two very quick Ferraris. Obviously that is a team that is in contention for the Constructors' Championship. Drivers on either side of the garage, very quick, and they're going to be challenging 4 races. Of course, when we get 2 extremely quick drivers at the same team, there's always the issue of team collisions. So hopefully Ferraris won't fall into that trap. fact, a team that did that twice and got it wrong twice, putting two fast drivers in their car at the same time, that was McLaren. First time they did it was at the end of the 80s, I think it was 89. They decided to pair Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost, and you can just imagine how that went, because they were rivals, fighting it out for championships, and then suddenly becoming teammates. That one was a bit silly. The second time around, they didn't really see it coming. They decided it was time to get back to winning ways, and they hired the then reigning champion, a young Fernando Alonso, to come and get his third title at McLaren. And then they hired a rookie, someone who wouldn't give Alonso too much of a handful. That rookie, well, it was Lewis, and we all know how that went. So for everyone who doesn't understand why Perez still has a seat, that may be the reason. Don't want to put someone too quick in that second car and end up throwing away a Constructors' Championship because your drivers keep on crashing into each other. This is also one of the new drivers, Epix, I'm just going to call it Epix. I like that name, Epix. Another car retiring from the session, so now Panda, Shane, Boinkies, all comfortable with their times. Wezo. Has retired from the session, remember. So that means everybody here will be going through. So some of the drivers will be retiring, they've had enough. Others will be using all the track time they can get, just in preparation for the race. And this is that McLaren of Epix, currently a 1:30.1. That's his best lap time. Remember, there will also be drivers here at the back, outside the top 10. They aren't probably going to be outside the top 10 in the next session. They're just holding back a little. I believe the term is sandbags. Quick drivers do it anyway. But when there's no risk of elimination, most of the guys are sandbagging. Of course, all the retirements you see on screen, those were voluntary retirements, all with the exception of Wezo, currently 3:15 on the timesheet, but he's going to be eliminated because there's no way of fixing that car. Once the wheels come off, the car's pretty broken. Everyone in the top 6 has retired. Netgishin in the pits, Dan Ritkoff in the pits. Quickest driver on the timesheets, that's actually on the tarmac, is Epix. He's all the way down in P10, so none of the quick drivers are out on circuit right now. This is Rota, and he's rotating the car around. We've joined him just in time for a spin. Rota will be hoping that that does not repeat itself in the race. Something like that happens on lap 1. When there's cars all over, things could get really messy. He's going to dive into the pits. He may have also had enough of this. Cool. Seems to be weaving around. I think he's doing a prep lap, so he's going to have one more lap. He's taking this session all the way down to the wire. I said some of the drivers would be using all the track time they could get. So the ones that have retired, those are one's feeling most confident. This is the Williams of 0 to cool, currently in P12. You'll know that P12 is good enough for now, but it's not going to be good enough in the next session. So I think if he can just get himself up into the top 10, that'll just make him feel a little safer about his pace going into Q2. Epix has taken the checkered flag, so it's just 0 to cool, and Kev has just taken the checkered flag as well. 0 to cool, the last man out on track here in Q1. Of course, just going to be the one elimination, and that is due to a requirement. It's not due to his pace. He's actually in P15 and ahead of Will, but that is not going to help him. Hopefully Will does go through though, because I have seen in the past where we get to Q2 and it's only 14. Will does improve, goes up to P11, not quite in the top 10, but he'll be happy with the improvement. So quickly, there's your results for Q1. Panda leading the way this evening so far, 28.8. Then Levy in P2, Shane P3, two Ferraris looking strong so far, Top Gun in P4. They're followed by J-Boy Pointy, Nick Gishin, Dan Ritfeld, Stoffel, and Epix, making up the top 10. P11, 0 to cool, Rota P12, Kev 13. And then final driver, Secret, 14. I think we're going through with 14 drivers. We'll see if there's 14 or 15 shortly. The reason I say we may have 14 drivers is even though Wes retired due to an incident, Will was below him in the timing sheets. Quiet start to things. Always get a little nervous when I see absolutely nothing happening. I think the lobby's broken. But this is the beginning of Q2. Obviously, as we go through the sessions, each session gets a little shorter. Q1, 18 minutes. Q2, just the 15 minutes. And then Q3, the shortest of them all, 12 minutes. So you don't have as much time to faff around. Got to get on with it. Get that initial lap in. Anything can go wrong in that first lap. You invalidate it. You have to come in, or you find yourself off the circuit and you need to have a second run. Then you just don't want to leave that first run for a little too late in the session. So we're already seeing quite a few cars out on track. A much busier start to the session than we saw in Q1. Q1, after 3 minutes, we only had 4 cars on track. It's a pretty even split of who's on an outlap and who's sitting in the pits. See, we're in Bahrain, track that's actually got, might be mistaken, but I think it's got 5 FIA grade 1 layouts. So F1 could technically be held on any 5 of those layouts. There's 2 short circuits, and then there's obviously the GP circuit you see here, the outer loop which you saw in 2020, and one a lot of people won't remember because it only happened once. A whole piece of track was added to Bahrain, apparently to make the race more exciting. It turned out to be the most boring Bahrain Grand Prix of all time, and the section was quickly removed and the track was brought back to its original length. I believe it's still used for endurance racing. I believe the WEC do use that track. It's not much longer, but the corners that they added to the circuit weren't very helpful for overtaking. Still waiting for our first lap times to come in. Expect the lap times to come down as we go from session to session. Like I say, these guys will be taking this session a little bit more seriously, and then in Q3 it's all about where you're going to start in the top 10. Then the guys will be throwing absolutely everything at it. J-Boy, the green pick Sauber, soon to be the Audi manufacturer team. Can't wait. Of course, if you follow WEC, when Audi came to WEC, they immediately started dominating, and they won the Le Mans. Honestly, I can't tell you how many times in a row. And at one stage, they got bored of winning the Le Mans, so they decided to become creative, changed their entire engine package that nobody asked them to do, from a petrol engine to a diesel engine. Decided, let's do the Le Mans in a TDI, and they've won it anyway. Ironically, Audi's reign at the top of WEC was taken by Porsche, another brand owned by VW. So technically VW defeated itself. Times are now starting to come in. Top Gun 29.6. We did see 28s in Q1, so we know there's a lot quicker lap times than that. J-Boy in P2. Panda P3, not as quick as the time he achieved in Q1. Still a lot of time in all of these drivers. Efficient still in the pits. Levy on an outlap. Epix thought he was on a quick lap, but he appears to be going very slowly. Might have just backed out of that lap. Pointy's in the pits, still out on track. But this is the fastest man in the session so far. Top Gun. Haven't seen anyone get into the 28s yet. We saw 28 in Q1. Expect to see more of them in Q2. Levy, second Ferrari, his teammate up in P7 with a 1:30.7. Levy now looking to get his time up onto that screen. Once you get that first lap in, and breathe a sigh of relief. You know, if you make a mistake on this first lap, you're going to be starting low down in the race. It's a difficult field to come through. Of course, the lap times don't look particularly close now, but you saw how close they were in Q1. Kev has retired from the session without setting a lap, so I think that can only be one of two things. He either did that voluntarily or crashed on an outlap. So So Kev will play no further part in Q2. Levy goes quickest. And he gets into the 28s. First driver in Q2 to get into the 28s. It's a 28.9. Still not the quickest lap we've seen this evening. Saw 28.8 I believe it was in Q1. This is key fix, just staying out of the way. Try and stay out of the way. Boykies and Stoffel. Still two drivers looking for lap times. Looks like Stoffel is on and out. Lap, is he? Or is he on his way? I think Stoffel is coming to the end of that first quick lap. Let's see what he can come up with. Goes around the final corner now. Activate the DRS and up into P3. Very nicely done. Where is Boinkies? Boinkies, the other driver, not to have set a lap yet. Of course, Nick Gishin, also no lap time from him, but Nick Gishin remains in the pits. So he's leaving this till late. Wants to put on a bit of a show. Boinkies over the line. He was quickest in Sector 2, got a purple Sector 2, but wasn't able to put the rest of the lap together, so he goes into third place, 29.2, just 3/10 off provisional pole. Remember, this session will not determine pole. That happens in Q3. Second Ferrari found himself a lot higher up the field not so long ago, but now down in P11. Shane is at risk, so is Rota, so is Nick Gishin. Where is Nick Gishin? Is that him? No, that's a Red Bull. Still no activity from the Williams pit garage. Hopefully we see him out on track. Don't want to leave things too late. Things can always go wrong. No matter how confident you are that you have this sorted out, you never know what can happen out there. Make a silly mistake, invalidate a lap. And Shane, we were talking about him slipping down the order and we were talking about him being at risk. Well, cancel that. Shane up into provisional poles, the quickest lap we've seen this evening at any time. It's a 28.5, and behind him is his teammate. We've got a all scarlet red front row as things stand. Boinkies just going very slowly, getting out of the way for what I think was his teammate. Was that Rota? Yes, it was. Going to go over the line to start a quick lap, or was that his quick lap? I think he was on a quick lap, but he must have backed out of it because he started that fast lap with 70% battery. So I think he had that initial run, didn't go according to plan, and he just backed off it. So your quickest man on track right now is Shane. He's followed by his teammate Levy. Then Top Gun P3, Boinkies P4, Stoffel P5. That's just changed. Now Top Gun Boinkies 02 Cool, Stoffel now P6, J-Boy P7, Panda P8. And things will now start to get a bit frantic. If you look at your lap time and you think, yeah, that's not safe. Just look at the names behind you. And do you think they're going to stay behind you? Nick Gishin, one of those drivers out on track, has not set a lap time. He's left this very, very late. We know he should be comfortably within the top 10. But an invalidated lap would mean he starts in a position he really doesn't want to be in. That is the flashing caution I speak of. Please get rid of it. So Nick Gishin, let's ride on board with the Williams. A lot of cars sitting in the pits for now. Will give the Williams driver a little bit of screen time. No lap time from him with just 2.5 minutes remaining in the session. So this is probably going to be his one and only attempt. Of course, still 2.5 minutes, so if something does go wrong here, he could back off and just have another go on the next lap. But in terms of this being his one and only run, by the time he gets back to the pits, the session will be over. So he's put it all on this one set of tyres. Means he's going to have all the tyres he needs in Q3. Since Nick Gishin, he would have probably been hoping to be a little closer to that Haas. He could have picked up some slipstream. What's rather funny is when this Bahrain circuit was completed, when the construction was completed, I remember so many F1 commentators saying how impressive the length of that straight is. And compared to some F1 circuits we have today, that is not a long straight at all. Nick Gishin's first and only attempt will put him up into P4 to 29.1. Not a bad run for somebody who's had almost no track time in this session. But we did get two drivers into the 28s in Q2. Both of those drivers driving for the same team. It's the Scuderia Ferrari. I love that word, Scuderia. Really sounds cool, but it just means team. Scuderia Ferrari. That's it. It's just Team Ferrari, in case you didn't know they were a team. Technically, Ferrari is not the correct Italian pronunciation, but I'm not going to say the correct Italian pronunciation because the only way you can get it right is speaking like Valentino Rossi. J-Boy is currently in P10. It's a 29.7. Epix currently in P11, that's a 30.0, so he's looking to get into the top 10. Remember, outside the top 10 you are eliminated. So far Epix at threat, so is Rota, so is Secret, but he has taken the checkered flag. Kev is retired. And this is Epix returning to the pits in P11. So that means there will be no improvement, and I think we can already confirm the drivers that will be eliminated. That's going to be Epix, Rota, Sigrid, and Kev. Seems like everybody is done. We're just now waiting for the session to come to an end. There we go. And we'll get a results screen and we'll quickly transition to the final qualifying session of the evening, and the one that really counts. The one with the most on the line. There are your Q2 results. Shane led that session. Very good lap. Panda P2, J-Boy P3. Then the second Ferrari. He was up in P2 for a long time. Levy. Then we've got Top Gun, Nick Gishin, Pointy, Siritzpool, Dan Redfeld, and Stoffel. Those are your 10 drivers going through. Eliminated from this session, Ifix, Rota, Sigrid, and Kev. If anybody in the comment section is able to confirm, Panda, if you're there, was that a voluntary retirement or did somebody crash on their outlap? We're back to looking at the pit lane. Of course, this time around, there's no more eliminations. This is the one that sets the grid. Sets the grid for what we're all here for. We're here for the race. That's where the points come from, and that's how you win championships. It's all good and well starting from pole position. It's all good and well putting in quick times. But it comes down to the races, and if you don't finish those, you just don't get the points. Of course, qualifying does help. It's better to start up at the front. But if you've watched the majority of the F124 races on this channel so far, you'll also know that a safety car is never far away. Getting underway now with Q3. You can see all 10 cars are out on circuit, so you can see how the drivers take this session so much more serious. We saw a quiet start to Q1. Q2 was slightly quicker. Q3 is frantic. All 10 competitors out on track at the same time. Don't want to be spending any more time in the pits than you need to. This field is a lot closer than you think. You may not have seen it in previous sessions, but when they're all throwing absolutely everything at it, I think we're about to see something special. Here's J-Boy in the Clovers inspired Quicksilver. Over the line in front of one of the first drivers to start his quick lap. There are 1 or 2 ahead of him. Zero to Cool, Nick Gishin, all on quick laps, as is Panda, Dan Redfeld, Boinky, Stoffel, busy racetrack. Levy still on an outlap. Top Gun, he's just started his quick lap, so we're going to get this timing screen go from empty to completely full in the space of about half a lap. Everyone out there at the same time. Hopefully drivers aren't going to run into each other, nobody's going to get impeded, everybody can get the lap they want. Sometimes when there's this many cars out on track, it's inevitable that you're going to run into somebody. Zero to Cool and Nick Gishin, the 2 Williams teammates, are out on track, line astern. J-Boy on the other hand, he has lost his teammate, and he retired in Q1 after a nasty crash. He lost more than just a wing. So Cool over the line, was in provisional pole shortly, and then it was taken by his teammate Nick Gishin now into the lead. Boinkies onto provisional pole. We're riding with J-Boy, who's just gone P3. Then we've got a Haas coming over the line. Stoffel in P5, Panda P6. 2 Ferraris, we saw how quick they were in Q2, so keep your eyes on them. Shane, the first Ferrari over the line, it's a 29. Yeah, it's a 29.0, and we know you can do a 28, so that's not his absolute best. Boinkies also 29.0, and now the second Ferrari over the line, and that's the quickest lap we've seen. That's a 28.4. And that is how you throw down the gauntlet. He was, remember, everybody came out at the same time to set their fast lap. Levy was the last man over the line, and he was the quickest man over the line. Now we've got a lot of drivers going around slowly, just wanting to get back to the pits, not do anything silly, don't want to break anything. Put on a new set of softs and have another go. Because we have seen quicker times from some of these drivers. Some of these drivers have already hit the 28s, and now they're not quite hitting the 28s. Shane at 29 flat, and he's got more than that. Hopefully we're going to see some more drivers take the step into the 28s on their next run. I like bringing up the unneeded and unasked for editions of F124. Now, every single time a driver goes into the pits, my controller begins vibrating insanely when the wheel guns go off. I don't know why that is, but I guess it makes me feel like I'm right in there in the pit stop. We have a few of you watching already. Of course, the race is not far away. In 6 minutes time this will be over. I'll be reading the results. We'll know who's on pole position, and we'll be getting ready to get season 11 of DRS underway. Of course, we've just finished season 10, and that was a shortened season. We just had the 8 rounds, and that was due to, well, this game. So back to a normal format. We will have 12 rounds this season. It's going to be a long season. And that means winning a race or two probably isn't going to win you the championship. You're going to have to be consistent over 12 weeks if you want to take this one. That is some very violent weaving from Nick Gishin. You'll never see me doing that out on track because I'd probably lose it and find the wall. So everyone has had that initial run. Now we're starting to see a few drivers coming out for the second run. We have Top Gun, Nick Gishin and Zero to Cool on outlaps. Now Stoffel joins those cars, so we've got 4 cars on outlaps. The other drivers in the pits. Some of them will be looking at that track map, just who is where, looking to find a nice little bubble on the circuit where they can get some clean air, that they don't have to worry about their mirrors, they don't have to worry about what's in front of them. They can just throw everything at the circuit. There's 3.5 minutes remaining. So if you are sitting in the pits, you're probably only going to have one more run. This is Nick Gishin. Is one of the quicker drivers in the field. He's down in P5 at the moment, 29.1, and look at the lap times. We have a 28.9, 29.0, followed by a 29.0, a 29.1, 29.2, 29.3. So we're looking at 4 tenths between 2nd and 7th. Levy, on the other hand, he's all by himself. 28.4. Very impressive lap time. Half a second quicker than anyone else on track. That man that is second best, it's the man that we're looking at right now. It's Top Gun in the RB. Red Bull has been eliminated from qualifying, so RB trying to fly the flag for the energy drink manufacturer. I tell you, the day RB becomes the team that flies the flag for Red Bull, somebody's getting fired. Or if that ever happened, Red Bull could literally just transfer all the staff to Red Bull. Since you guys are doing so well, how's a promotion? Just 1.5 minutes remaining in the session. Currently Levy the fastest man, 28.4. Can confirm he is on an outlap, so he will have enough time to get around. Top Gun looking for an improvement, 28.9. Then next best is Boinkies, 29.0, so close to the 28s. Shane also 29.0, also out on track. He's starting a quick lap, appears that way. Let's bring up some data on your screens. There we go, you can see his battery. Yes, he is on a quick lap. Shane's on the move. Boinkies on the move, currently in P3, 29.0. Both those drivers I just mentioned, P3 and 4, Shane and Boinkies, both on a 29.0, separated by 700ths of a second. And they'll both be looking at taking that provisional pole away from Levy, but Levy is behind them on track. So even if they are victorious, it may be short-lived. This is Levy. Then Rietveld puts the Alpine up into P2. And that is a very impressive lap time. Look at that, a 28.5. We have a 28.6 from Boinkies. All the 28s coming out at the end. Top Gun, 28.9. It was an impressive 28, but now it's towards the lower end. This is Shane, going around the final corner now. His teammate up in provisional pole with a 28.4. Let's see what the second Ferrari can come and do. Oh, he gets past his teammate. It's a 28.2, 0.2 of a second, covered the front row, and it's an all scarlet red front row so far, unless anybody's got anything left in the back pocket that they can pull out just at the right time. Ruin the Tifosi party. J-Boy has taken the checkered flag, so let's see who hasn't taken the checkered flag. Dan Rietveld. He's heading off. Ooh, he was heading off into the final corner, but he's put that sideways. And Dan Rietveld, well, that's the end of that for him. That really hurts. Right around the final corner. Traction out of that corner is so important. When the times are this close, going sideways anywhere on circuit, that lap is done. This is Nick Gishin. He's about to go over the line. Let's see if he ruins the Ferrari party. He's taking the checkered flag and he stays in P8. It's 29.1. And the Ferraris, well, we didn't even see that, but Levy did improve. Stays in P2. But look at the difference between the teammates. I may have seen that wrong, but I believe it's 0.004 of a second. There's your final results now for Q3. Shane taking pole position. Levy P2, his teammate. I was correct. 0.04 of a second between the teammates. Then Panda in P3. Dan Rietveld P4. They're followed by Boinkies, J-Boy, Top Gun, Nick Gishin, Stoffel, and Zero to Pool. Of course, now we head off into the race. We're going to look at the pits for a little bit longer. Now the drivers have an opportunity to sort out their strategies, sort out what they're going to do in this race. Are you going to take the risk of underfueling in anticipation of safety cars? What tire are you going to start on? How deep into the race do you intend on going? One thing you don't have to worry about in the desert is the rain, but this is F124, and I don't think we've seen all of its madness just yet. Of course, on Monday night, I think we had a grand total of 4 safety cars and 1 virtual. And then on Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken, we also had 3 or 4 safety cars. So it's been a week filled with safety cars. Hopefully tonight breaks the trend. Just the dual green lights. That means it's the formation lap. And just a warning before we get to the start of the race, we get a much better view of the start of the formation lap than we do get of the race start. For some reason on F124 we see the back of the cars at the race start. And that's not me choosing a stupid camera angle. That's unfortunately the camera angle the game gave us. So we'll probably go on board with one of those drivers in the top 4 just so we can get a better view. Tends to correct itself as we get to turn 1. Then we'll have the proper broadcast cam back. And these 2 Ferraris, well, I said this would be a strong team pairing. And what a way to get the season underway. Starting P1 and P2 for the opening race of the season. It's the sort of momentum you want to start off with. What we don't want to see is 2 Ferraris colliding. Another driver to keep your eyes on, of course, is Nick Gishin down in P8, Top Gun down in P7. Those are some quick drivers. Boinkies down in P5, lots of quick drivers lower down the field. So we will be seeing drivers coming up the order, or at least trying to come up through the order. You bring up your tyre screen early on. I think that's the best camera angle I've ever got in this game. Well done F124. Gonna have a view of the cars coming towards us. I don't think we're gonna see the red lights because we're on the wrong side. Or we may, who knows. Shane and Levy gonna be heading off into turn 1, and they'll be thinking don't make contact, and they'll also be thinking where is Panda, don't let him through. Here we go, we do see the red lights and we heard them briefly, but now they're gone, and so are the cars. We're underway, Ferrari versus Ferrari into turn 1, Panda looking to get involved in that party, as is an Alpine, Dan Rietveld. And there's a Salva there very late on the brakes, looking to make up positions early on in the race and couldn't get that car stopped. So there is contact early on, we saw that. And I think that was J-Boy. Just couldn't get the car stopped in time. Went very quickly off into turn 1. Looks like he's got all of his front wing. Look at that possible race strategies. 2 stop or a 3 stop. I think we've got a lot of strategies to play with. But who's going to do what? Of course, these drivers don't go according to what the game suggests, because sometimes the game doesn't suggest the best ideas. All of these drivers will have their own strategy in their mind. It's a 29 lap race. Let me know in the comment section if you're familiar with the tyre usage around this particular circuit. Do you think anyone could potentially pull off a 1 stop, going from a medium to a hard, or some form of that combination? Top Gun getting some support in the comment section. That's the driver we are riding on board right now. That is the RB. Love the livery. Wouldn't mind if they got rid of the white. That is my only issue with that livery. Everything else looks pretty good. Out front, Ferrari's done a good job so far. At the start of the race, they've been able to hold on to P1 and P2. Shane still where he started, in first place. Levy still in P2. Panda. Third Ferrari powered car in the top 3. Ferrari power domination up until this point. Shane from Levy from Panda. Look how close those Ferraris are. Panda's actually getting closer. We can visibly see it. Those Ferraris looked a little further away, but now they're getting ever so closer. Problem for the Ferraris are they're on exactly the same strategy. They've both started on mediums and they have relatively similar pace. And now Levy does take the lead of the race over from his teammate. Ferrari's simply just switching positions, and that's due to DRS. So I think Shane will have DRS next time around, and we may just see these Ferraris switching back and forth. Problem with that is could let Panda stay part of the conversation, and especially if they trip up over each other, then things really get messy. Virtual safety car has been called. Hopefully that's all it is. The reason I'm saying that is if you watched the race on Monday night, we had a full safety car, but for some reason the screen said virtual safety car the entire time. And something, I hope that hasn't happened now, but something is giving me the impression that it did. So if we are under full safety car conditions, don't get confused. Yes, it says virtual safety car, but that is not what's going on. There we go, you can see the safety car. He's sitting in sector 1 waiting for the cars. So F124 has the wrong notification on your screens. Also, if you're looking forward towards the Austrian Grand Prix at the Red Bull Ring this weekend, addition to turns 9 and 10 at the circuit, strips of gravel have now been added. If you run over those curbs on 9 and 10, you will get your tires into the gravel, and that should eliminate any advantage the drivers were trying to get. So I think we'll see drivers not abusing that curb as much. There's also been the addition of some sensors around turns 9 and 10 that would be able to give basically an immediate reading the moment somebody goes over the line, so the stewards wouldn't have to review anything. It would basically confirm it on the spot, and the stewards could give out the penalty. So 3 red cars at the front. The one in the lead is the safety car, followed by the 2 Ferraris. We had Ferrari power at the front all the way, but Panda has come into the pits. Yeah, he's got a brand new set of hards, so he's utilized that safety car to make a very early pit stop. Secret also made that pit stop under the safety car. He's going to be doing his next stint of the race on a set of softs. It's lap 4 of 29. We're under our first safety car of the evening. We were just getting going. We had just got DRS opened, and then the safety car came out to neutralize everybody again. If you didn't have a fantastic start to the race, maybe safety car is always great news. Brings you right up back to the queue. That may have been there the whole time, but I believe it's the first time I've seen it. Safety car lights flashing on the main straight. Maybe it's always been there and that's just a camera angle that I haven't noticed. At the front, Ferrari from Ferrari. My controller's vibrating, so someone's in the pits, and that's Will. He's going to come out, catch that queue, and he's going to have to start this race all over again from P16. Once to get a decent result, there's going to have to be a lot of overtaking involved, or a whole lot more of these safety cars. If you've ever wondered why we don't get more sand all over the circuit when we're in the desert in Bahrain, it's because most of that sand you see immediately on the outside of the circuit, it gets glued to the ground a few weeks prior. Of course, it's I don't know what it's called, but it's a special kind of glue that they can basically wash off after the race. But it just basically ensures that that sand does not lift and come onto the racetrack. When Bahrain first came to the F1 calendar, it was a race that took place during the day. It was not a night race. The only night race at the time was Singapore, but we see so much more of this now in F1. Personally, I love seeing the cars under the lights. For some reason they look even better. Safety car restart. Levy will lead the way. Top Gun has put himself amongst the Ferraris, or has he? Went up into P2 briefly. Now we've got that Sauber braking late into turn 1 again, as we saw him do at the start of the race. That's J-Boy, he's up into P4 now. It's all over the back of Top Gun. Ferraris will be hoping to get up the road this time around. Maybe they can just shake off that RB. Seems like, was that a spinner? No, it wasn't. It was just somebody just leaving the racetrack. Couldn't get the car stopped. Had to go over the chicane. Not sure who that was. It may have been an Aston Martin. Levy out front, 8/10 of a second gap back to his teammate under all sorts of pressure from Top Gun. Top Gun under pressure of his own. J-Boy in P4. Wants to get himself up onto the podium, wants to go and challenge the Ferraris. Of course, another Ferrari powered car. Kick Sauber going to retain its Ferrari engines the remainder of this season and next season. Then obviously there's going to be a big change at Sauber. The team that entered the World Endurance Championship, dominated it and then left, went to Formula E, dominated it and then left, and now they're coming to Formula 1. Really exciting to see what the German manufacturer will be able to do. And hopefully it's not going to be a situation like the Toyota venture. If you're old enough to remember the Toyota venture, Toyota once thought, let's go to F1. We'll throw all the money in the world at this project and we'll become world champions. Unfortunately for Toyota, got a couple of podiums, never won a race. I think they had almost double the budget of the Ferrari team, the best wind tunnel in Formula 1, and none of it was enough. So you can't just have a big name and throw money at Formula 1, it doesn't work that way. Hopefully Audi isn't going to find out the hard way. We just got racing and we just got stopped. We're under our second safety car of the evening, lap 7 of 29. Things continue like this, it's going to be a long race. The first safety car was not triggered by a DNF. The second safety car has been triggered by a DNF. That DNF is Nick Gishen, first man to retire here in round 1. Of course, he is one of the championship contenders, one of the quicker drivers in the field. He's retired, so that is not the start he would have wanted for his championship. Now a lot more drivers making use of this safety car to make a pit stop. One of those drivers was the Ferrari of Shane. Let's just see what the drivers are generally coming out on. Seems like Shane's coming out on a set of hards. We saw J-Boy coming out on a set of hards as well. Will this go all the way to the end? I think you have to make those tyres last 20 or 21 laps, something like that. Or the 19 laps, I believe. Now the Ferraris, they had started on exactly the same strategy. They had very similar pace, but now they've gone in different directions. Shane decided to utilize the safety car, come in for a set of hards, and unfortunately the field was still so close together from the previous safety car. It means he's come out in P11. Got a lot of work to do, and his teammates out in front on a set of mediums. So the Ferrari is having two very different mindsets of how they're going to approach the rest of this race. I always enjoy seeing two incredibly well matched drivers going for two completely different strategies and just seeing how it all works out. Now the second Ferrari coming into the pits. Sure, Levy would have preferred to come in on the previous lap. Now that Q is truly all together, Levy will come out of the pits in P15. He's gone with the same strategy as his teammates, so they were on the same strategy and then briefly broke away from each other. Now they're both on the hard compound. Levy will obviously have a tyre set that will be 1 lap fresher. Don't know if that's going to make a difference in the closing stages of the race, but that is assuming that these two Ferraris find themselves next to each other on track again. No guarantee of that, because Shane's in P10 and Levy's down in P15. Remember, most of that field in the front, actually, Boinkies, Stoffel and Rota, so your top 3 cars, they have not pit. They are still driving around on the tyres they started the race on. So those drivers will come in. So there's already 3 positions that those 2 Ferraris can gain. You're not going to have to overtake everyone in front of you. A lot of those cars have not pit. Some of them did pit, but it was under the first safety car. They're going to have to come. They're going to have to come back and do another pit stop. So, if the Ferraris are looking to take those hards all the way to the end, seems like a good idea for now. I just don't know what those tyres are going to feel like in the closing stages. And of course, if we get another safety car, specifically late in the race, take all those strategies, throw them out the window, they mean nothing. In fact, last night, in the last race that we broadcast on this channel, we had quite the race, and then right at the end, it technically came down to a 5-lapper. And that could happen here tonight as well. Safety car flashes away in the left-hand side of our screen, just in case we didn't know. Safety car has now pulled off into the pits. And we're going to get a very different looking restart this time round. Last time round and at the start of the race we had 2 Ferraris heading off into turn 1. This time we've got a Mercedes followed by a Haas followed by a Mercedes into turn 1. It's Boinkies followed by Stoffel followed by Rota. Then it's Epix in P4, 0 to Cool P5, Wezo P6. Remember, he had to start at the rear of the field because he retired in Q1, so started from P15. He's made up quite a few positions early on. Will in P8. Remember, some of these promotions up the field will be as a result of some of those drivers towards the rear having made a pit stop. Shane's made up a position already. He was up in P10, now P9, and briefly P8. I think we've seen a Ferrari go sideways. Has he regained his momentum? Where is he? There he is. Shane down in P13. Well, I'm not going to comment on his position because I don't know. He was 13, now he's 12. Levy is now 13. So the Ferraris have met each other on track. I thought that wasn't going to happen, at least this soon. But they would have liked to have met on track further up the order. They're on the wrong side of the timing sheets. Ferraris P12 and 13 after qualifying P1 and 2. This race has now fallen to Boinkies. He's leading the way. The gap 1.3 seconds. Stoffel in P2. We have a caution. It seems like a stationary Aston Martin. That car has got going yet again. DRS is enabled. And Epix. If this is your first time playing F123, I'm sure it's not. But that is an addition to the game that I didn't see coming. For the longest time, speeding in the pit lane would give you a 5-second penalty, and some thought it was pretty harsh. Well, now you get a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Much more severe. The sort of mistake you don't want to make in the race. Any extra tenth of a second you think you can make up by locking up right on the line, that tenth isn't going to be worth anything. if you get a 10-second penalty. It's really the same thing when the guys are going over all the curbs, trying to take as much of the racetrack as possible, just looking for a tenth here and there, and then suddenly a 3-second penalty comes out and cancels anything you were hoping to achieve. Lap 11 of 29, points away from Stoffel. 0 to cool in P3. Rota, he was up in P3 not so long ago, so he's lost a position and he's lost another. Wezo, man who started in P15, makes up another position, goes now up into P4. J-Boy was the lead Sauber for the longest time, but now Wezo is at the top of the field in P14, but remember, those are the tyres he started the race on, so he will have to pit again. Ferraris have both improved from their lowest points. I think they were in 12th and 13th at a stage, now 9 and 10 starting to come through the field. Their next target will be J-Boy, and with the two of them being so close together, they can sort of bully their way through the field when they arrive on the Sauber and then on the RB. These drivers out front, they'll know there are quicker drivers back there that will be looking up to be making up positions, and now is your time. You need to make this gap as big as you possibly can. This is your time. Stoffel just not able to hold on to the Mercedes. Boinky's now 2.6 seconds up the road. 0 to cool, a further 1.3 seconds, so no DRS train within the, or any DRS within the top three. Kev, in fact, is that Kev? That's not Kev, that's Wezo. Wezo is fighting for P3. He's right on the back of that Williams, and as I say that, goes side by side and takes the position. So we have a Sauber up into P2, 0 to cool losing a position, Panda now P3. A lot of changing in the positions, a lot of wheel to wheel. And you also have two Ferraris trying to make up ground. They are actually now P8 and 9, so they've gone up another position. For the man at the front, well, he's getting on with it. You can see the car just bouncing off the curbs, absolutely putting everything into these hards, everything he's got. We spoke about sandbagging in qualifying, and I guarantee you there are absolutely no sandbags now. He's 4.1 seconds up the road. Obviously Wezo was able to make the overtake on the Williams. Now he's starting to have a little bit of an effect on that lead. The lead was bigger, it was almost 4.5 seconds. Now 4.1, so I think Wezo may be reeling him in slightly. It could have been, we were going to say 0 to cool, maybe the tyres were starting to age. Well, he doesn't have to worry about his tyres aging any longer, because he's had a nasty spin. That'll send him out of the points into P11. Won't be happy with that. He was having a good race up until that point. Top Gun has just got past Panda in the DRS zone, goes up into P3. You just see cars going everywhere. For a reason I thought Panda went off. Boinky has responded. We said Wezo was bringing the gap down. It's back up to 4.2 seconds. Two drivers at the front, interestingly enough, on exactly the same strategy. They both started on the hard compound. They both have not pit. Top Gun's slightly out of sync with the rest of the drivers. He's got a set of mediums. They're only 6 laps old. I think that comes down to him pitting under the original safety car. One that was labelled virtual safety car. That has happened twice this week. This is the lead Ferrari P5, Levy, getting all over the back of the Haas now, wanting to get past. Looks to the inside just to let Panda know he's there. Panda will be well aware, doesn't need any more action in his mirrors. Just letting you know, in case you forgot, this is how close I am. Surely Levy will have an opportunity on the horse now onto the main straight with DRS. Should make it easy. All he needs to do is make sure he gets a good run here out of the final corner. And it did get a little bit of a slide there on the exit. Don't know if he's going to be close enough this time around. Doesn't seem to be the case, and Panda's trying to make up positions of his own. But Panda wasn't able to make up the position, lost all sorts of momentum, and that's allowed Levy to go through up into P4. His teammate Shane wasn't close enough to make the most of that error from Panda, so he's sitting behind Panda in P6, but these Ferraris coming right back into this race when at a stage they were P12 and 13. So many different strategies at play. Obviously, guys, I think the strategies would have been a lot closer to each other hadn't we had the safety cars, but the moment we have safety cars, everything goes out the window. And look what I just said. I said safety car, and the game said, you want a safety car? There, safety car. Fantastic. Safety car is now activated on voice command. Now what we could see is drivers getting all sorts of ideas. Boinkies will come into the pits. I'm sure Wezo will follow him into the pits. Yes, he does. Top Gun, does he come into the pits? Yes, he does, as does the Ferrari. Shane is going to join him. That means we're going to have our first double stack of the evening, I think. Ferrari's very close together, so Shane's going to come up second best in that battle. Probably going to lose positions to J-Boy and Dan Ritfeld. In a worst case scenario, is if there's something wrong with that first Ferrari, then they have to change the front wing. Shane has to sit there waiting, all the other cars streaming into the pits. Oh, and look at that, he's also got a broken front wing. And well, I'm glad that wing was put on right, but that didn't look like that wing was put on right. So the Ferraris were close together and coming back into this race. Well, they've been separated again, and this time they've been separated by a double stack that definitely didn't go well for one of those two Ferraris. Levy has come out in P6, so damage minimized, but his teammate will have to do it all over again. One advantage these drivers do have is they would have been worried about stretching the hards all the way to the end of the race, and what would the tyres feel like in those closing stages. Now they have to worry no more. They've got a fresh set of mediums, and those mediums should go comfortably to the end of the race. And actually, everyone in the field has a fresh set of tyres. Only Secret has a 3-lap-old set of mediums. Everybody else on a fresh set of tyres. So this final stint is going to be about attack, attack. And you guessed it, attack. Speaking of attack, something apparently the Portuguese national football team doesn't know how to do. If you were wondering what my impression was on the Portugal game last night, well, there you go. Not impressed. And while we are on the safety car, if anyone in the comment section or anyone watching is a Proteas fan, of course, well done to the Proteas. That is the first time the Proteas have won a semi-final in a World Cup. In fact, when people think of the semis and whatever, they think there's a quarterfinal and a round of 16. No, that is football. Cricket, you basically have your group stages, your second round, and then you head off into the semis. So the stat that was broken by that victory is actually not that South Africa's never won a semi-final. They've never won a knockout game of any kind in any World Cup, ODI or T20. So at least they got that monkey off their shoulders. But I think the final may be a little bit tougher than Afghanistan. Afghanistan got bowled out for their lowest score ever in T20 cricket, just 56. Of course, South Africa's opponents in the final will be either India or England, and I hope for the Proteas' sake it's not going to be India. Going on a slight cricket tangent because we're under safety car yet again. So far, very good evening for the two Salbers. Both of those Salbers in the top 5, currently P2 and 5. Wezo, well, he's had one hell of a race. Remember, he had a very strange incident in qualifying. I'm really not sure what happened there, even though we saw it on screen. Just seems to, I don't know if a driver jumped on the brakes and he rammed into him unexpectedly, or if he just missed his braking point and ran into a car. But he definitely ran into a car, that much we know. Safety car pulls into the pits, and we're going to get what is hopefully the final restart of the race. Still lots of laps to go, so take that with a pinch of salt. Boinkies will lead the way at the restart. But Wezo, what a start. Fantastic start from the Salber driver. Thought he may have got some sort of a penalty there, but he didn't make the pass before the start-finish line. Did it just in time. Wezo now leads the race. Remember, he started in P15. And clearly we have a driver of the day. 11 laps to go, lap 18 of 29. The order in the top 3 is Wezo, Boinkies and Stoffel. They're then followed by Top Gun, J-Boy, Levy, Zero to Cool, Epix, Dan Ritfeld and Will making up the top 10. Just outside the top 10, but knocking on the door is the second Ferrari. Things are getting messy there at the back. As Shane's trying to get by, we can just see the Red Bull getting into a bit of a scuffle there with the Alpine. You don't want to get involved in that. Get on with the race and stay out of trouble. Keep all the car's appendages firmly attached. Saw both the Ferraris have lost the wing. Let's have no more unscheduled pit stops. Wezo, at the restart he was P2, into turn 1 he was P1, and now he's defending that P1. Boinkies all over the back of that Salver. Then we have Stoffel P3. The Salber Formula 1 team does have one stat, important stat, to do with South Africa. It's where they made their debut. Salber's first ever race, Kyalami 1993. And you wouldn't believe what engine they had. They were powered by Mercedes-Benz. Wasn't a very good Mercedes engine at the time, but later on that engine would evolve, leave Sauber, and become the official supplier to McLaren, and we all know how that went. Very successful partnership. Wezo leads the way from Boinkies, and there's still nothing in it. Wezo's set the fastest lap of the race. There's carbon fiber flying around in the back. We didn't see who made contact with who, but definitely carbon fiber flying around in the background, and you see a Sauber falling down the field. I'm going to presume that was J-Boy's carbon fiber. I believe it was. He's in the pits, so not only has he fallen down the field, he's now come into the pits, and he's going to come out far behind this queue of cars. He'll be hoping for one more safety car to give him one more go. His teammate, though, very different fortunes. He's at the lead of the race, 0.4 of a second, still defending from that Mercedes. Hasn't been able to shake him off. Stole the lead at the restart. Very impressive restart. Obviously just got the better traction than the Mercedes. Of course, both these cars on the same set of tyres, both on mediums, 4 laps old. So it's not going to come down to a tyre battle, it's going to come down to pace. Top Gun's in P3, but he's lost contact with these top 2 drivers, and he's actually starting to form a bit of a queue. Of course, even if you do have a queue of 20 drivers behind you, this is your track position, and you can defend it for as long as you can. Of course, it's something you saw a lot more of in classic Formula 1. There was no such thing as ERS, and there was no such thing as DRS. So sometimes, if the driver in front of you was a very good defensive driver having a very good day, you could have a much faster car and be able to do absolutely nothing about that car ahead of you. Just ask Nigel Mansell how he desperately tried to get past Senna for what I believe was more than 50 laps. And I can tell you he was unsuccessful. Lap after lap after lap. Levy in P3, he's the now leading Ferrari. Wezo, P2, he stole the lead at the restart. Boinkies has now taken back the lead, but those cars awfully close together, and DRS very strong on this track. Wezo may have lost the lead, but he definitely has not lost this race. Still a long way to go, 8 laps to go, anything can happen. This is Shane, also on a recovery drive. He's having a really strong race. Came into the pits under the safety car, came out at the rear of the field, had a great recovery drive, and then got the worst double stack he could have ever imagined. So yet another recovery drive. He's got himself all the way up into P6. But he'll be hoping to be as successful as his teammate. His teammate's just gotten himself up into the top 3 positions. So even with all the carnage that Levy has faced this evening, somehow he's put himself back into the top 3. Will he be able to catch the top 2? It's going to be a real mountain to climb. The gap, 5 seconds between Levy and the next 2 cars. His teammate looking to make up positions, lots of lockups on circuit, you can see all the smoke, guys pushing on the ultimate edge. Remember everybody, relatively fresh tyres, some of those laps would have been done under safety car. So everybody can really just lean on their tyres, attack to the end of the race. Nobody's going to be worried about tyre management at this stage. And if you didn't choose to underfuel, I'm sure you're running with quite a heavier car than everybody else. Boinkies leads the way from Wezo. I don't know if Wezo is going to be this. If he's going to be close enough this time round. There's a DRS open. Goes to the inside. Thought about it. And then thought better of it. Thought, am I going to be able to get it stopped? Just tucks in behind the Mercedes one more time. He'll get another go at it. Pulls alongside a second time and tucks in behind the Mercedes a second time. So just letting him know he's there. And more interesting, thought Levy may be able to start to close this gap. The gap's actually gone up. It's 5.4 seconds now to the top two. His teammate looking to get his car up into P4. Zero to cool, currently the car between those two Ferraris. Top Williams driver on the evening. His teammate, one of the favourites for the championship, becoming the first retirement. And we had a double retirement for the Haas team. Let's go Top Gun, it says in the comment section. Top Gun is currently in P8, fighting for P7. Epic's right ahead of him. And then there's an LP not far down the road, so still positions on the cards here for Top Gun. Went side by side with the McLaren ever so briefly, then tucked in behind the Papaya car once more. Still a bit of time in this race, and if you know you've got the speed, then you don't want to make a silly error. Some drivers have had a recovery drive, some drivers have had multiple. The last thing you want to do is make a mistake at the end of the race, because then there will be no time for recovery. Boinkies leads the way from Wezo, 0 to cool P3. Then we've got Shane and Levy, the two Ferraris, 4 and 5. They're followed by Dan Ritfeld and Top Gun. So Top Gun did win out that battle with the Papaya McLaren. He's now up into P7. Epix P9 will... Actually, Epix P8 will P9. And then Kev, the second Alpine, taking the final point. And he's got quite the gap down to P11. So this is a comfortable point if he's just able to bring the car home. Hopefully no retirements till the end of the race. When we do reach lap 26, then we are in the safety car safe zone. So the drivers still have to be careful for the next 2 laps. The last thing you want is a very late safety car. I'm going to stop saying safety car because the caution is flashing. I think that's the game warning me to keep quiet. Caution continues to flash, but now it's gone away. There we go. So Boinkies leads the way from Wezo. That gap just half a second. Nothing in it between the leaders. Shane has now briefly taken over at P3. Looked like the Williams was going to come back at him. Seems like he's going to hold on to P3 for now, but that Williams going left, going right. Just letting him know you may be in P3 right now, but I'm not going to let you stay there. Not voluntarily. I'm going to fight you till the end. I'm sure Shane wouldn't have it any other way. Any racer loves a good battle. Well, that's what they all say. But I'm sure they don't mind when they're in a dominant car. This is Levy. He's the lead Ferrari, and now he's the second Ferrari, and there's your reason. There's your reason. We didn't see it, but there is your reason. It's on the front left of his car. He's missing an end plate. So he'll be holding on to P5 with everything he's got. He knows he can't come into the pits now to change that wing. It'll be pointless. It would throw him out of the points paying positions. But it's going to be so difficult now to defend. Corners you used to be able to go full taps through. Now you're just going to have to be on your tiptoes. You're just going to have to be a little bit more careful. You know you don't have that one piece of car, and as insignificant as it may seem, trust me, that Ferrari is going to be feeling terrible into the corners. Not what he's used to. That's not the setup he had for the car. That's not what he's been practicing. And now he's going to have to try and finish the race with a terrible amount of understeer. Top Gun has been able to make up that position on the Ferrari, so Levy is dropping down the field. Now he's going to come under pressure from an Alpine. Dan Ritfeldt all over the back of that car. And there's just not much that second Ferrari can do to defend. Speaking of not being able to do much, we go to the other Ferrari. The gap to the top two was 5 seconds. It's now 8 seconds as I'm talking about it. 0 to cool. Puts the car sideways. And he was giving Shane all sorts of trouble, and he is now out of the equation. Seems like the top three are pretty set if they can just keep those cars facing in the right direction. P1 though has not yet been decided. Wezo opens up DRS. He's just not getting close enough. At the start of DRS you want to be as close to the back of that gearbox as you possibly can. He's just getting on that DRS straight with about 6 or 7 tenths at the start of it, and it means by the end of it it's not quite close enough to try and pull a move. Could pull a crazy move, but that wouldn't work out well, and we saw how that worked out in qualifying. He got a wheel sitting on top of his car. Actually it was bouncing on top of his car, but I think that comes down. That comes down to the game. That would be incredibly dangerous. Imagine Formula 1 cars that just bounce. I know they bounce, just not as violently as that. Boinkies, that gap's 6 tenths of a second, and this is what I mean. He just really needs to get as close to that gearbox as he possibly can. I think this is the closest he's been in DRS in the last few laps. Still just not close enough. 6 tenths of a second. He's got tons of battery. What about his opponent? Does his opponent have tons of battery? There's your answer. I'm not going to say what it is. If you're watching, you can see what it is. If you're driving, I don't want to give anyone a fair advantage by giving them their opponent's data live on air. Whether would be complaining that Boinkies had a secret engineer in the form of the commentator. I think that would be even bigger than the Briatore story. Imagine the entire commentating crew feeding information to one driver. A new F1 scandal. Boinkies leading the way. Wezo 6 tenths of a second, 9 tenths of a second, so he wasn't getting close enough, and now he's going in the wrong direction. It's 28 of 29, so if he's going to do it, he doesn't have much more time to do it. Let's see, how close does he get now? 6 tenths of a second, going into that DRS zone. He's going to want to be a little closer than that. Opens up DRS. I think this is the closest he's been, and he's going to go this time round. Goes around the outside. There's nothing Boinkies can do. And we have a new race leader on the final lap of the race. Shane holding on to P3, looks like a comfortable P3 for now. Dan Ritfeldt's just made up a position of his own. He's fighting with Top Gun. Look at these two. Hopefully it doesn't all end in tears. Fights for P4 and 5. There we see the second Ferrari still doing such a good job to hold on to P6. Remember, he has pieces of his car missing, otherwise he would be a lot higher up the field. The other Ferrari does have all of its front wing, but it can't do anything about your leaders. 9.7 seconds up the road they are, and they're very close together. Wezo leads the way. The gap is just 0.3 of a second. Now Boinky's either ran wide there or he tried a very different line. Very close. Look at that, just 0.3 of a second. How will this end? This could literally come down to who gets the better exit on the final corner. Boinky's goes towards the inside. Thought about it for a second. Doesn't get that superior grip he would have needed on the exit. Then I think that is enough. It is enough. Wezo goes over the line. Boinky's P2. We wait for Shane. He's exiting the final corner right now. Podium as a season opener, nothing wrong with that. Then Top Gun able to hold on to P4 from Dan Rietveld, and Levy brings an injured Ferrari over the line in P6. So it's cool. P7 will Epixy or Epix, and then we're waiting just for J-Boy. There he is, and just one more car. It's the Red Bull Secret. Folks, there we have it. That was round 1 of season 11 here at DRS. Fantastic start to the season. Probably one too many safety cars, or two too many safety cars. Some really great wheel-to-wheel racing. There are your official results. Wezo takes the victory. Boinky's P2. That came down almost to the final corner of the race. Shane finished in P3. He'll be a little disappointed. Wasn't able to do anything about those two cars ahead of him. He'll be happy nonetheless. Top Gun P4, Dan Rietveld P5. They're then followed by Levy, Zero to Cool, Will, J-Boy, and Epix. No points on the night for Secret, Rota. Those were the only two that finished outside the top 10, 11 and 12. And then we have DNFs for the likes of Kev, Stoffel, Panda, and Nick Gishin. Of course, as always here on NFR, something we started about 2 weeks ago or so, the top 3 drivers, as well as the driver of the day, are always invited to the cool down room should you want to join the commentary box for a short interview. Of course, it's not compulsory, and if you're feeling might shy, most of the guys don't join for that very reason. But we will give it 2 minutes or so just to see if anybody does join, and then we'll go from there. We did get quite a few viewers here on the stream this evening. All the streams this week have been successful. Monday night, Wednesday night, and now Thursday night. Obviously this was a season opener. Always exciting when we get to scratch all the points off, start from scratch again. Just have a look at the Discord. Anybody been able to join? There we go. We have Boinky's already in the comms box. I didn't warn him he was in the comms box, so he's talking away in the background. Of course, no problem. Of course, if you're on the PlayStation, you can just on the party chat screen, you'll notice a newly added little Discord icon. You click on that, And you just go to the NFR server and you select the cooldown room. It'll bring you into the comms box. Well, we do have Boinkies here. Boinkies, what did you make of that as a season opener? Is that what it came down to? You were running a little extra downforce. Of course, if you watched on Monday and if you watched on Wednesday, you would have seen that safety cars have had a big role to play so far on this game. So, feel your result was elevated by the safety cars?
Stoppers. The hearts were terrible after the safety car. They were ass afskolen. I couldn't even eat them up.
Just
But I was staying with 40 degrees, 50 degrees after the safety car.
just 40 or 50 degrees after the safety car. So the hard tires obviously just very difficult to manage. We actually got something very similar to that. I think it was either on Monday or Wednesday when I interviewed one of the drivers. They were saying that the hards after a safety car were just not something they wanted to deal with.
Even after the race start, it's terrible. I had no grip. I lost like 3-4 places on the start.
I noticed at the restart your position got hijacked. Did that come down to just didn't have the tire temperature, just didn't do the tire prep under safety car, or was that?
No, Wesley had way too much low wings. He just flied past me, and he kept his. I think he saved his DRS until the last lap. That's why he overpassed me.
I didn't want to mention it on the stream because I hate giving away driver data, so I didn't mention it on the stream. But at a time, I think maybe 2 laps to go, Wezo was obviously just behind you, and you had, I think, 15%, something like that, left on your battery. And when I went to go check him, that's why I didn't say anything, he was on 100. So
no, he was clever. He kept his battery for the last lap. I knew he's gonna come for me. That sector 3, we were neck and neck, and I had to just brake early. Otherwise, would have crashed on that last corner. It was a nice battle with him.
Somebody else has joined, so Shane is now in the cooldown room and he's all by himself. So we're going to bring him into the comms box. He also had a interesting race on his side. There we go. We should have Shane now in the comms box. Shane, can you hear us? Shane, are you there?
Oh, no.
You there, Shane?
Can you hear me?
There we go. Now I can hear you.
Perfect.
Voice just breaking up a little bit, but Shane, how was that? Started off in P1. Race was really looking good, and then safety cars came in and probably messed with the Ferrari ideal strategy. Was that the plan? Start on mediums? Was the plan to go from mediums to hards, or was it going to be a one-stop at any stage?
No, never going to be a one-stop. Always going to be a 3-stop. I was planning on mediums, softs at the end. But then obviously when the second safety car came out, I decided to go for the hards, and I wanted to finish it. I wanted to finish off on the softs, but then the next safety car came out too soon to go into the soft. So
Another thing I wanted to ask you, because I saw it in the race, but we didn't have a very good camera angle, so I wasn't 100% sure. Did your teammate have a broken wing at the same time as you?
Yes, we both pitted.
So you didn't only double stack, you waited for his wing. So
we double stacked. I was behind him. I waited for his wing, and I waited for my wing.
So it was that's like 4 pit stops. But see, we've also got Wezo. Wezo was very quick today. Look at that. We've actually got all 3 drivers in here. That's fantastic. Well done, DRS. So we've got Wezo. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. We can hear Wezo. Wezo, at the end there, were you fooling around a bit? I didn't say it on stream because I don't give away driver data, but you were driving around with a full battery. What were you up to?
Yeah, no, lot of drag. So I was just keeping behind the Boinkies, waiting for the right moment to take it.
I was speaking to Boinkies a little earlier on, and he believed you were running very low wings. Is that the case?
Not that low, but lower than them, because I saw on Tram Dial the guys, all the setups was this heavy high wings, just dialed it down a bit to suit me, especially in the straights as well, and it paid off.
Shane, at the end, did you have any damage, or were you just not able to do anything about the top two because you saw that gap expanding at the end?
The mediums were on like 60% towards the end. I had no more tire left to try and catch him.
Did you breathe a sigh of relief when the Williams that was giving you all sorts of hassles lost its way?
Yeah, when I saw those proximity arrows just disappear, I could relax a bit.
When do we see you guys out on track again? Boinkies, starting with you. When are you driving again? Are you only doing DRS?
I'll be next week with Wednesday with F4 Tier 2.
So it'll be SAFRL Tier 2 Wednesday, Thursday with Boinkies. And then Shane.
And I'm reserved at other league Sunday.
You're joining SKR as well. So we're going to be seeing a lot of Boinkies. Boinkies will be on 3 of our 4 streams every week. That's not bad. And then Shane, of course, you'll be on track tomorrow night. Luckily, that race doesn't get broadcast because it's one night driving.
Yeah,
so
I'll be next to you in the garage tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. You'll be the Perez. So at least I finished the first round of the season. Just a bit of inter-teammate battles. And then Wezo, when do we see you back out on track?
I'll be back next week, Thursday, Jeddah.
Next week, Thursday for Jeddah. So you're just doing the DRS for now?
That's correct, yeah.
Is that why you're so quick? Because you're only racing once a week and the rest of the time you're practicing.
I wish I could race more, but my schedule doesn't allow it with the work and stuff.
You also took driver of the day, so well done. You started in P15. Actually, while you're here, let me ask you what happened in quali.
I was on a hot lap, and then as I finished the lap, I was trying to pull over to the right for the guys behind me, not to catch a slip, and I didn't see Roto going that slow. I saw him in front of me, but he was like idling there, and then
that's what I thought happened. I actually said it on the stream. He either completely missed the braking point or somebody slammed on brakes in front of him, because we just saw carbon fiber going in all directions, and you were gone. So
but I was actually contemplating to start at the back, because turn 1 is usually a balls up. So, but yeah, that was a good race overall.
I usually say you want to start at the front, you want to start at the back. Being in the middle is not where you want to be.
You need to start qualifying too. Otherwise, if you're gonna be mid-pack, rather start at the back for me. Drive on the other drive mistake. That's what I usually might try to do.
Guys, I want to thank all of you for joining. I want to thank all of you for the action that I got to see out on track, and that all the viewers are gonna get an opportunity to see. And to everybody who is watching, I want to thank you all. We've had some very successful streams this week. We've gone over like 500 views this week. So well done to everybody that supports the channel, everybody that was in the race today. NFL will be back on Sunday. And until then, cheers.
Cheers. Congrats to the other guys.